Alright everyone, welcome back to, it's your boy, K Natsuki here, and welcome back here to another new spankin' hot What If. As today, I'm making a new What If Deku. He will have a sort of change in life. Allow me to explain something. The rate of quirkless person and of quirkless people is the same. Everything is quite basically the same. Except, well, in this world, there are no such things as heroes or villains. There is only two groups, the strong and the weak, the rich and the poor. This world does not treat people fairly. When you're almost about to die, there is no heroes to save you. There is only this. There is only violence, blood, and death. Deku would, now, like canon, Deku would be born without a quirk, without power. With his mom at least prayed for her son to have a quirk, at least to protect himself, even if it was a weak quirk. As Deku would have no power in this violent world of blood and murder. Heroes and icons such as All Might were ignored. While yes, they were strong, they were always pictured as those wanting to ruin our way of life. Their way of life. As Japan was basically like a hierarchy of powers. And at the top of this hierarchy were those who were cunning, ruthless, and murderous. The strong, and then the weak. Deku, being a quirkless person, would be known as one of the weakest, which would make him a big target for bullying. Ever since Deku was at the age of 4, he would always come home with concussions, bruises, bleeding, scars, burn marks, and everything else. Even teachers would fight against him. As teachers and students, basically school was just like Japan, except smaller. And this time, there was a third group. Experienced, or the teachers. The teachers were experienced and they knew how to use their powers, meaning they knew how to hurt you and make you break. However, there is still efforts to try and change the way this world works. Bakugo, of course, would want to be very strong, but also change the way the world order works. He would have a sort of... He would have a... Basically, this is how he would think of things. He would have to be the strongest so he could defeat everyone else and force them under his rule for good, to not fight anymore. He would use strength, as Bakugo wanted to use his powers control everyone into not fighting anymore. As well, on Deku's 5th birthday, his dad would come home, but would beat him as well. Same with his mom. It doesn't matter who anyone is, parent, doctor, father, mother, sister, even younger sibling, or even a pet. Every being in Japan was just one more part of this hierarchy. And Deku was one of the weakest, and was the weakest quirkless person. As it was like he had the opposite of a quirk. He couldn't, no matter how much Deku would train or eat or exercise, he could never get stronger. He could never get buff. He could never... Hold on. Alright, sorry about that. Anyways. Now, where were we? Yeah. Basically, Deku would be the weakest quirkless person. As that would mean that he is probably the biggest target in all of Japan. Everyone would want to beat the crap out of him. Make him understand just how purely weak he was. As he basically had the opposite of a quirk. He couldn't get stronger, he couldn't get faster. Nothing worked. No matter what he ate, no matter what he drank, no matter what he did, nothing changed. As Deku slowly had no determination left in life. However, as we skip to when Deku is 14, we skip to when Deku is 14. Well, no, 13. It's the last day of middle school. Now, Deku is expecting, to get bullied. Deku is expecting to just go home and probably be killed. As he's astonished on how he survived even this long. However, just as he walks in, Bakugo then says, well, if it isn't the quirkless Deku, the weakest of the weak even, the weakest one in Japan, as there'd be hundreds of names for him. As Bakugo would then say, hey, why don't you just go kill yourself before someone else kills you, huh? Why don't you just do a swan dive off that roof and end your life before someone else ends it, huh? As Deku would then say, alright, Bakugo. As Bakugo would wince at this just for a moment, as he would wonder, Bakugo, I thought he always called me Kachan. As Deku would basically walk up to the roof, right in the middle of class, as he would jump off the roof, as he's hurling towards death. And he knows it. He's excited. For the first time in his life, he's actually smiling and happy for death. As when Deku hits the ground, all everyone else heard was a big splat, and no one even cared. No one came to check on him or help him, as Deku died, in that world forever forgotten, as a weak, quirkless human being that even the quirkless didn't like, because of how weak he truly was. However, oh, did they know wrong? And however, oh, little did they know they were wrong. As Deku would awaken in his middle school outfit, confused as all hell, as he would look around and see, hold on, darn it, not this again, hold on, as Deku would see a demon that looked like this, just standing right over him, as this demon is about 8 feet tall. As all he does is just look at Deku, and as he then says, we were wondering how long it would take you to get here. Oh well. Oh well. Oh well. As the demon would then chuckle and say, it's good to have you back, boss. Deku, of course, would be completely confused at this thought, and by this fact. This demon just called him boss. Yes, it's going to be good with it. This demon just called him boss. As Deku then says, excuse me, I'm not the boss of anyone. Do you have any idea how weak I am? As the demon would then raise a fiery eyebrow, as he would look at Deku, as he would then say, yeah, boss, your stats are the same as always. Quite literally. Speed, speed, 1,000,000. And speed, infinite. Health, infinite. Strength, infinite. Agility, infinite. Stamina, infinite. Durability, infinite. Defense, infinite. Regeneration, infinite. Power, infinite. Seriously, boss, what am I missing here? As Deku would then say, are you sure you're looking at the right? Are you sure those are my stats? I'm quite literally the weakest person in the entire world. As he would then say, what do you mean, boss? As Deku basically would say, I can't get stronger, I can't exercise, I can't do anything, I can't even sustain myself. As then the demon would say, oh, looks like boss has some amnesia. Looks like boss, after dying, and after coming back, has memory loss. As he would then say, hey, Derek, and as he would then say, Deirdrick, as Deirdrick would be a demon looking like this. As this demon would walk, which is about 14 feet tall, would walk over her and say, hey, yes, is there a problem? As he'd say, Deirdrick, please tell me that boss has memory loss. He doesn't remember anything except his human life. and accept his reborn life. As in the big demon, which was called Dedrick, would then say, "Wait, boss don't remember who he is? That's terrible. Well then, what did boss do again before he left to see how the human world was?" It was about, I think, 80,000 years ago? Yeah, it was 80,000. What was the last thing he did? Ah, that's right. He put all of his, he put his, he put his blood in a bottle, in a box. As the demon would then say, "Cecil!" As then a giant demon with 4 horns. Yes, if you don't see, right next to the chest. See? Those 2 horns just dipping down? Yeah. As a huge demon with 4 horns would walk up to the demon that was called Dedrick. As he would then say, "Yes, Dedrick." As Dedrick would then say, "Cecil, we require the box." Boss doesn't remember a single thing. As Cecil would then say, "Right away," as he would pull out of the ground of hell a black and red box with all sorts of demonic symbols on it, in all sorts of unintelligible languages. However, it was clear that they all said the same exact thing. It was a name. A name which chilled through the earth and through time and space for so long that everyone feared it. As long before quirks existed, there would have been tales of this name, of the being who had this name, a being who was viewed as the strongest of the strong, and not even the strongest in the hierarchy in Japan, and not even the leaders of the hierarchy could best him. Hold on. Now, how Deku could read this name, or at least know that it was a name, was because there was 2 versions on it which Deku spoke fluent in. One was English, and another was Japanese. As he would have read both versions, and they said the exact same thing. The name Dagenhurst, or Lord Malavar Dagenhurst. As Malavor Dagenhurst was by far one of the strongest beings in all of recorded myth and history, even. Malavor Dagenhurst. As the demon addressed as Cecil would then say, would basically hand Deku the box, as he would say, "Here you go. Open it and open it and just open it." As Deku would open the box, the black and red unholy box, as suddenly the the symbols which were red on this black box would begin glowing with fire. As suddenly blood would begin to, as suddenly Deku would open the box. However, it was empty. As then blood would begin to drip. Blood would begin to form in the box. Just first a tiny droplet, then 2 droplets, then 4 droplets, then 8 droplets, and then 16 droplets. And eventually, Deku stood right in front. And eventually, the box was flooding with blood. A sort of demonic, fiery blood. Or demonic, electric blood. As it went through, as the blood would flood out of the box and onto Deku's hands, as suddenly, the blood would go all over Deku, as it would begin to seep in. As suddenly, red lightning-like cracks would form on Deku's body. Now, this is a sign that Deku's human form is quite literally peeling apart. As then the human skin would peel, and the humanness, the weak frailness would peel off, as suddenly demonic mouths would form, jaws. Deku's eyes would become green and would become slits. His teeth would become sharp like jaws. As suddenly red blood and darkness would begin to swirl around Deku's hands. As then 2 horns would spurt out of Deku's forehead. And suddenly his eyes would change from green and black to red with black slits. His claws would become sharper as armor would begin to form around him. As Deku would basically look around, as he would say in a creepy and terrifying tone, "Where is my armor?" As he would say this, and the demons would then know that their lord had returned, and that this was their lord. And that he is back. As the demon as another demon, which called itself Eldritch, would walk out. As Eldritch would walk out looking like this, as he would say, "Hey, boss, your armor is in the back. And boss, your armor is in the back." As he would point to a sort of dark castle, which was swirling with red lightning and black blood, and darkness and evil. Now, y'all might be wondering, so what exactly are Deku's powers? I mean, if he's some sort of ancient demon lord, allow me to explain something. Deku is not a demon lord or even a demon. Malivore or Dagenhurst was not a demon or a quirked person. Malivore Dagenhurst was the incarnation. And was just once he was nothing, and then he was blood. The blood took forms, and the blood began to change and morph. As it took forms of many ways, darkness, evil, hatred, sin, all the way up to Deku. Hold on. I think it's dinner time. Sorry about that, I just was eating. So where was I? Yeah. As Malivore Dagenhurst is a not human or demon, but he is, how can I explain this? He is quite literally the embodiment and physical form of torment, pain, death, hatred, evil, fear, nightmares, darkness, blood. As he is a very powerful and evil spirit that necessarily cannot be killed. Now, Deku basically would be brought to a ginormous spire, or like a castle of dark, that I said was surrounded by black blood and red lightning that was swirling around the place. As Deku would go in and would find a blade which looked like that basically looked like this. This blade is called Blood Seether. Basically, what Blood Seether does is basically can warp the reality of blood. It can make blood explode into fire. It can turn blood into ice to like giant glacier ice spikes, which would kill you instantly because you'd just expand and die or explode. Turning your blood into fire or magma or acid, burning you from the inside. And then, of course, just draining your blood out of you or overfilling you with blood. Or turning you into a ginormous, brainless, mindless blood demon. As now to Deku's armor. As he would see a ginormous suit of armor, which would look like, hold on. As after putting on his armor, Deku would look like this. As he would walk, and as he would basically walk out of the castle, and he would say, "Finally, it has been so many years, so long, since I've tasted the fresh, cold air. So long indeed." As he would then say, "Hell has gotten dark, darker than normal. The pits are unattended. Souls are flowing in, overflowing. Darkness is shrouding in everything. And now, our next objective is to find her. Now, y'all might be wondering, who is her? Well, that's the ship that you guys can choose. Now, goodbye. Sorry that this is a bit short. My parents are going out to work and I cannot be on my phone until 7. So, goodbye and skadoosh.